Spinning wheel, spinning wheel. There we go. Hi. So today I am going to read a fairy tale. I have two books with this fairy tale in it. Snow White and Rose Red. It's not Snow White. It's not the girl who runs away from her wicked stepmother with the magic mirror and the dwarves. It's Snow White and Rose Red. It's a little different. We don't hear this fairy tale as often. I wanted to show you. I have two books with this story in it. And this one is huge. This is a big book. um, but I will be reading the version from my smaller book, and I'll be showing some of the pictures along the way, but there aren't as many pictures as with the books I've been reading. So I am going to give this a start, and maybe what I'll do is show the pictures a little bit more near the end of the story. All right. So, here, I'll show you this first. All right. There's Snow White and Rose Red. Outside their little cottage with the grandma. There was once a poor widow who lived in a lonely cottage with a garden in front where two rose trees bloomed, one of which bore a white rose and the other a red. The widow had two children who were like the rose trees, for one was called Snow White and the other Rose Red. The two children loved each other so dearly that whenever they went out together, they walked hand in hand. Very often they went out into the woods by themselves to pick berries, and the wild beasts would not harm them. The children lived a very happy life with their dear mother in their pretty cottage home. In the evenings, the mother would say, "Snow White, bolt the door," and then they seated themselves around the hearth, and the mother put on her spectacles and read to them out of a favorite book while the girls sat at their spinning wheels and listened. One winter's evening, as they all sat comfortably together, someone knocked at the door as though he wished to be let in. "Quick, Rose Red," said the mother, "open the door. Very likely some poor wanderer has come in to seek shelter." Oops. Rose Red ran to pull back the bolt and open the door, thinking to see a poor man, but instead a great black bear pushed his head in and looked at them. Rose Red screamed with fright, and Snow White ran to hide herself behind her mother's bed. But the bear told them not to be afraid, for he would not hurt them. "Please let me in. I am half frozen with the cold," he said. "I only wish to warm myself a little." "Poor fellow," answered the mother, "lie down by the fire, but see that you do not burn your thick fur coat." Then she called the children and told them to have no fear, for the bear would not harm them, but was honest and respectable. So Snow White and Rose Red crept out from their hiding places, and were not the least afraid of the bear, who asked the children to brush the snow from his fur for him. They fetched a broom and brushed the thick black coat, till not a single flake remained, and then the bear stretched himself comfortably in front of the fire and growled gently with content. Goodness, here we go. This is not a struggle. There we go. So there's Snow White and Rose Red listening to the story. There's a little lamb in the corner too. Before long, the children were quite at home with their clumsy guest, playing all sorts of tricks upon him. The bear seemed well pleased with this treatment, though, and when they became a little too rough, he would cry comically, "Please, children, don't kill me." When bedtime came, the mother told the bear that he might spend the night beside the hearth, and so be sheltered from the cold and storm. As soon as morning dawned, the two children opened the door, and he trotted away across the snow and was lost to sight in the wood. But from that day on, the bear came to them every night at the same time, laid himself down beside the hearth, and let the children play pranks on him as they liked, and they soon grew so accustomed to him that they never thought of bolting the door until their friend had arrived. There's the bear going back out in the wilderness in the day. When the spring came and the whole world was fresh and green, the bear told Snow White one morning that he would not be able to visit them again all through the summer months. "Where are you going, dear bear?" asked Snow White. "I must stay in the woods and guard my treasures from the wicked dwarfs. In the winter, when the ground is frozen hard, they cannot work their way through it and are obliged to stay below in their caves. But now that the warm sun has thawed the earth, they will soon break upward and come to steal what they can find, and that which once goes into their caves seldom comes out again." Snow White grieved sadly over the parting. As she unbolted the door and the bear hurried through, a piece of his coat caught on the latch and was torn off, and that it seemed to the child that she saw a glimmer of gold beneath it, but she was not sure. The bear ran quickly away and soon disappeared behind the trees. Some time afterwards, the mother sent the children into the woods to gather sticks. They came to a great tree that lay felled on the ground. Beside it, something very strange looking kept jumping up and down in the grass. At first they could not make out what it was, but as they came nearer they saw that it was a dwarf with an old withered face and a long snow-white beard. The end of his beard had been caught fast in a split in the tree, and the creature jumped about like a little dog at the end of a string and knew not how to help himself. He glared at the little girls with his fiery red eyes and screamed, "Why do you stand there staring as if coming to help me?" "What have you been doing, little man?" asked Rose Red. "You silly prying goose," answered the dwarf, "if you must know, I was splitting the tree to get some small pieces of wood for the kitchen. The large logs that you use would burn up our food in no time. We don't need to cook such a quantity as you great greedy folk. I had just driven the wedge firmly in, and everything seemed right enough when it slipped on the smooth wood and popped out, so that the tree closed up in a second, catching my beautiful white beard as it did so. And now I cannot get out again, and you foolish milk-faced creatures stand and laugh at me. Oh, how horrid you are!" The children tried with all their might to help the old man, but they could not loosen his beard, so Rose Red said that she would run and fetch someone to help them. "You stupid thing!" snarled the dwarf. "Why go and fetch others when you are too many already? Can't you think of something better than that?" No. There he is. "Have patience," said Snow White. "I know what to do." And drawing her scissors from her pocket, she cut off the end of the old man's beard. As soon as the dwarf was free, he grabbed a bag of gold that was hidden among the roots of the tree, threw it across his shoulders, and grumbled out, "What clumsy folk, to be sure, to cut off a piece of my beautiful beard! Bad luck on you!" And then, without so much as a word of thanks to the children, away he went. Some time afterwards Snow White and Rose Red went to catch fish for dinner, and as they neared the brook they saw something that looked like a grasshopper hopping along towards the water. They ran to it and soon recognized the dwarf. "What are you doing?" said Rose Red. "Surely you don't want to jump into the water?" "I'm not quite such an idiot as that!" shrieked the dwarf. "Can't you see that the horrid fish is pulling me in?" The little man had been sitting fishing when the wind entangled his beard with the fishing line. Just at that moment a large fish hook took the bait, and the little weak creature was not strong enough to pull it out. So the fish had the upper hand and was drawing the dwarf towards it. It is true the dwarf clutched at the grass and rushes as he went along, but it was all in vain, and he was forced to follow every movement of the fish, so that he was in great danger of being dragged into the water. The children came just at the right moment. They held the little man fast and tried to disentangle the line, but they could not do so. And at last there was nothing to do but bring out the scissors and snip off a little piece of his beard. The dwarf was very angry when he saw what they had done. "Is it good manners," he yelled, "to spoil a person's face like that, you toads? No, not content with having shortened my beard, you must cut the best part of it. May you go barefoot all your days." Then he seized a bag of pearls that lay hidden in the reeds, marched off without another word, and disappeared behind a stone. It happened that soon afterwards the mother sent the two little girls into town to buy needles and thread, and laces and ribbons. On their way home again they met the dwarf. He had emptied his sack of precious stones upon the smooth place, little thinking to be surprised by anyone at such a late hour. The evening sun shone upon the glistening heap of gems, and made them sparkle and flash so prettily that the children stood still to look at them. "Why do you stand gaping there?" screamed the dwarf, his ashen gray face crimson with wrath. He would have continued to scold, but at that moment loud growls were heard, and a big black bear came shambling out of the wood. In terror the dwarf sprang toward his cave, but the bear was too near, and he could not reach it. Then he cried in despair, "Dear Mr. Bear, spare me, I pray you, and I will give you all my treasures. Look at these precious stones. They shall all be yours, if only you will spare my life. I am such a little fellow, you would scarcely feel me between your teeth. But here are these two wicked girls. Take them and eat them. You will find them tender morsels and as fat as young quails." The bear took no heed of his words, but gave the wicked creature one stroke with his paw, and he never moved again. The two little girls had begun to run away, but the bear now called to them, "Snow White, Rose Red, do not be afraid. If you will wait for me, I will come with you." They recognized his voice at once and stood still, and as the bear came up to them, his fur coat suddenly fell from him, and he stood there, a handsome young man dressed all in shining gold. "I am a king's son," he said, "and I was condemned by the wicked dwarf who had stolen all my treasures to become a bear and run wild in the woods until I should be released by his death. He has now received his well-earned reward." When they grew up, the prince married little Snow White, while Rose Red was betrothed to his brother, and they divided between them all the beautiful treasures that the dwarf had collected in his cave. The poor old mother went to live with her dear children, and took with her the two rose trees from her little garden. These she planted close to her window, and every year they were covered with the most beautiful red and white roses that were ever seen. I know this story is a little long, but I do want to show you these pictures in this big book because they're pretty cool too. So, oops. This one is the dwarf with his beard stuck. And the other one, you can see it's the bear attacking the dwarf. Those are really cool. And here's another black and white picture of the bear. There's the bear in the house with Snow White and Rose Red, and he's cleaning off all the snow. All right. Have a good day, and I will be back tomorrow with another story. Bye. End.